So now I want to kind of delve into more about the geographic location of all of these prisons and what the history is on that. So a lot of states actually centralize their departments of correction and will have them in one, two, three, maybe four, locations, major locations. I think Utah has basically one massive prison up there for that houses all of their prisoners. And that's common in a lot of places. And in a lot of other places, they went to a model similar to Arizona, where they put them all over the place. So Arizona used to be big in mining and used to be big in agriculture: citrus, cotton, copper. Those are three of the 5 Cs of the 5 Cs of Arizona. And what happened is that as those industries kind of devalued, what the state of Arizona did was they went into a lot of these small towns that used to be agricultural towns like Florence, or mining towns like down by Douglas, Bisbee, and some of those other places. And as an economic development program, started putting prisons down there, because then they could hire the locals to go work in these places that had been laid off from some of these industries. Now, that's not the only reason that these places are where they are. That a lot of it has to do with the fact that the state owned lands in these places and other elements, but that was one of the big ones. And so as we look at the Arizona Department of Corrections, you can see that it is strewn out all over the state of Arizona. It's literally in basically the four corners of Arizona, and then all over the central and southern part of Arizona. And so when we look at the Department of Corrections, we need to look at where these prisons are in these towns, when we have to think about it in terms of something like a COVID-19 pandemic, which is these prisons house large populations of inmates. They employ large populations of the local workforce who go in and out of these prisons, and they return back to these small towns where they live after they leave work. And so let's look at that a little bit more. So the first place we're going to take a look at is Kingman. The city of Kingman has about 30,500 people in it, plus or minus. They have one hospital. That hospital advertises 14 ICU beds. The Kingman prison, however, which is slightly outside of Kingman in a place called Golden Valley, which is just adjacent to Kingman, that prison population is about 3,500 across 2 units. The number of staff is unknown. This is run by Geo Group, the private prison company. I'm estimating between the 2 units across 3 shifts, there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 staff members when you include all the people that come in for food service and security and, medical personnel and all that stuff. The number of doctors on shift, it was one that would split between 2 units. It may be 2 now. And the number of medical staff, again, I'm speculating, is probably about 30 or 40. The next one we'll look at is Winslow, Arizona, about 40 miles due east of Flagstaff. The population is about 9,400 plus or minus, one hospital. Unclear as to how many ICU beds that they have there. The prison population, 1,625 inmates. That fluctuates a little bit. Number of units is 4. Number of staff, again, is unknown. I'm going to estimate it somewhere 150, maybe 200, something in that range. That's, like I said, an estimate. I think currently they don't have any doctors on staff at Winslow. And the number of medical staff, I'm going to put somewhere between 30 and 40. Again, that's unconfirmed. I do have some data from the prison law office, but I wasn't able to analyze it when I was doing this video, so we'll have to take a look at that further. This is Safford, again down in the southeastern part of the state. Again, like Winslow, a population of about 9,650 people. They've got one hospital. I think they got a medical center down there too. The hospital advertised having 6 ICU beds. The prison population is about 1,450. There's, again, 4 units. So this is very similar to the Winslow complex. Number of staff, again, estimating about 150, maybe 200. Again, number of doctors on staff. I think that they're missing a doctor down there as well. There is other medical staff, and I'm going to put them around 30, maybe 35 total medical staff. Looking at some of the data that the prison law office sent me, as far as on-site medical treating staff for inmates. We moved to Florence. Florence, Arizona, which houses just a lot of prisons, has a population of, the city itself has a population of about 26,074. There's one hospital down there. ICU beds was unknown. They didn't advertise that. The prison population just between Florence and Iman prison, this is not including CACF. This doesn't include the Florence West prison. It also, there's a detention facility down there for the immigration. There's also federal prisons down there. So Florence is a huge prison town. The prison population between Florence complex and Iman complex is 9,548. Number of units is 10. Number of staff, I'm estimating about 1,500. Numbers of doctors on staff, I think that there's one down in that area. And the number of medical staff between those two complexes, I'm going to put it about 250 when you split it up between all the units down there. Now going way down into Douglas. Douglas, again, a pretty small town. Has a population of about 16,150 people. They have 2 hospitals. I think it was actually one hospital and one medical center down there. I couldn't really ascertain exactly what was going on with the medical facilities down there. The prison population is 2,017, I think, as of the end of February. Number of units is 6. The number of staff's unknown. I'm putting it somewhere around 300, maybe 350, something in that nature. I think that they're down their main doctor down there. And I'd put the number of medical staff somewhere around 75 when I was looking at the data from the national, from the prison law office, the prison law office. So, again, that was pretty small. Yuma. Population of 30,500 in Yuma proper. 2 hospitals. Again, I think that was a hospital and then a medical center. ICU beds was unknown. They didn't advertise it. The Yuma prison, which is actually in San Luis, which is a little bit south. It's 10 miles south of Yuma. Prison population is 4,876. The number of units is 6. Number of staff, again, is unknown. I'm going to peg it somewhere around 1,000. Across all 3 shifts, and including complex administration and all of that. I may be off on that number. The number of doctors, I think that they have a doctor down there at Yuma, and then the number of medical staff, I'm pegging around 100. There's some that have at unit, and there's some, I think, at complex level as well, as medical staff goes.